At the end of the day, Giannis is the best player in the NBA, and I don't think he's going to let you forget that. During this NBA season, it seems like we've talked about a couple players a lot: Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, and Nikola Jokic. Which is fair because these players have had an amazing season and no one's trying to take that away from them. But I'm not gonna lie, it seems like recently the conversation for the best player in the NBA has involved two of these players. In fact, there's an argument that Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid are on a whole other level and the rest of the NBA is trying to catch up. And this would be true if they didn't forget one player. A player that is slowly being forgotten about, and to some is having an off year, and yes, I'm talking about Giannis. To NBA casuals, Giannis is having an off year, but when we look at the stats, he's having his best season. I gotta say that Giannis is the only player I know who's having an off year yet his best year. Now, over the past couple weeks, I've made videos about Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid because they were hot topics to talk about. However, in every single one of those videos, when the conversation came up if they were the best player, I always said no. And that my take was Giannis was always the best player, and he has been ever since he won that NBA title. And Giannis must have heard me because he's only proven my case. In Giannis's quote-unquote off year, he's averaging about 32 and 12. And I knew things were getting out of hand when Giannis had a 50 and 13 game on really high efficiency. Like, I don't think you guys understand how impressive this game was. For context, in the game before that, he had a 41-point game where he shot 16 of 29. Yet, in his 50-point performance versus the Pelicans, he took less shots. Also, he did it in 30 minutes, one of the fastest times in the NBA. And yet, I didn't hear not one thing about it. In fact, I didn't even know, and the only reason I even found out was because I was in a call with a bunch of my friends. And professional Giannis meat writer Will Socho told the group, "Hey, Giannis has 50. We were watching the end of the game, and Giannis had 50, and after no one really talked about it. Even the day after, I saw little to no coverage about this topic. It seems like we've all kind of just been numb to this, and whenever Giannis does something crazy, we kind of just shrug it off like, okay, but you're not going to do it again. Yet, he's done just that. In fact, Giannis is so dominant, we kind of just don't talk about it anymore. Let me be very clear about this. Even though we're talking about Jokic and Embiid, even Luka, Tatum, even Kevin Durant sometimes, I am not going to let it be forgotten that Giannis is still and will be for a while the best player in the NBA. And it's not even close. In fact, I think Giannis should be in the running for MVP, but because of voter fatigue, that might not happen. Yet, there are people saying Nikola Jokic could win his third straight MVP, so there is a possibility that voter fatigue isn't even a factor anymore. And if that's the case, well then let's talk about it. Giannis is quietly having one of the best seasons he's ever had in the NBA, statistically the best, and no one wants to address it. But it's not just his stats, it's what he's done not only for the Bucks as a team, but his presence as a whole. Now, if we're comparing him to other players, let's talk about Jokic for example. I am planning to make a full video about this and a full-on film breakdown, but it's about Nikola Jokic's defense, or lack thereof. Nikola Jokic has a lot of things going for him. He's a great offensive player, especially when it comes to being a playmaker. Yet, the biggest weakness of Nikola Jokic is his defense, and it's not even close. Jokic is relatively a terrible defender, and if any of you are going to try to defend it, please wait for the Jokic video I'm about to do. Now, gearing things back to Giannis, the reason why I bring that up is Giannis is an amazing defender. In fact, I'd argue Giannis is great at everything except shooting. Yet, there are times when Giannis can catch on fire. For example, in the last game when he went 3 for 4 from 3. It's weird, he can make them at a low volume, but at a high volume, he's not that good. But that's fine, because Giannis has taught us that you don't need a jump shot to be a great NBA player. Now, one of my favorite things to do is look at terrible takes, and you know what? We're about to cook some people on Twitter. And this just goes to show you how little Giannis is, for one, being talked about, at least in a positive light, but also how numb people are to Giannis's success. This one guy says, "I'm from Milwaukee and a huge Bucks fan. Giannis says he loves humility. Let's not be quick to praise him. Giannis is playing very poor this year. He's coming out playing year superhero and making movies, something he said he wasn't about. Is Giannis coasting is my question. Again, I think this is so funny, and you're gonna see this in a lot of the tweets that Giannis is apparently having an off year, which cannot be further from the truth. No, Giannis is not coasting. He's coming off an injury, because I think the disrespect kind of started in a game versus the Hawks where he had 7 points, but he had 18 rebounds, which I would say is still a bad game because he only had 7 points and he wasn't that aggressive. But I thought it was pretty well known that Giannis was injured. That's why he would miss the next 5 games. He comes back versus the Pistons, has a 29-12 game, and now people are asking the question, is Giannis good? Mind you, this tweet came the day after that game, so I'm assuming he's referencing this game as him being poor. Well, the following game, he would have a 33-14 performance, then a 41-12, then a 50-13. So if this is Giannis coasting, then I am actually scared. This is also the same season where Giannis had a 55-10 performance, where he almost had a triple-double. So I don't know how Giannis is coasting, but unfortunately he's not the only one. Another take I saw was this, quote, seems like most people had Giannis as the best player in the world last year, but he's regressed. I think it's also important to note that the conversation before this was about LeBron possibly being the best player in the NBA right now. Anyways, he would then say Curry's struggling after his injury, Joker and Luka are generational offensively, but do they take too much off the table on the other end? There's a real argument that Bron's the best in the world. I don't know how many people are gonna say Giannis has regressed, but I think it just proves a theory that I had a while back. A while back, I had a theory, and I brought it up in a video, that NBA fans have no patience. And what I mean by that is some people will take one season or even a game and let it determine an argument. For example, Giannis missing 5 games and then coming back to a 29-point performance is apparently him regressing, which is just simply not true. I know people have asked the question, and it's fine to ask it, but actually saying that he's regressed is a complete lie. In fact, there was a take I saw on Twitter that basically sums up my whole point. Quote, Giannis had a stretch of bad games because he was definitely in pain, and people acted like he wasn't still the best in the world. When fully healthy, he's the best in the world. Simple as that. This man chose to speak one language, and he chose facts. Jokic and Embiid happen to be playing the best basketball of their life right now, and that's not a bad thing. I love seeing this. I love good basketball, and they're doing just that. And hell, I have my own opinion about Giannis being the best player. That's fine. And if you want to say Jokic is the best player in the world, or Embiid is the best player in the world, even a guy like Luka, I'm not mad at that. But if your justification for that is saying Giannis has regressed as a player, you're ridiculous. And I gotta ask the question, when in the hell did having a 32-12 season on great efficiency, by the way, become a regressing year? Even if we take away that 50-point game he literally just had for whatever the hell reason, he's still averaging over 30 points, which statistically has never happened except for last year when he had 29.9. But even then, this year would pass that year, and it's not even close. And I don't want to hear the argument that the Bucks are doing bad because they're the 2nd seed in a highly competitive Eastern Conference. So in what way has Giannis regressed? I would love to know. All I've seen is that he's regressed, but no one's saying why. Giannis is 28. He's getting into his prime, and I think that's where he's at. If you're going to take one thing away from this video, it's this. I don't care how Nikola Jokic is playing, or Joel Embiid, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, hell, even LeBron James. At the end of the day, Giannis is the best player in the NBA, and I don't think he's gonna let you forget that. And nor am I. I'm going to keep reminding people that this is the case. I said this in a video like a week ago, but we are in the Giannis era right now. This is Giannis's era. But yet, Giannis has regressed, and he's not the best player in the world. Yo, get the fuck out of here. And if you want to see a video how this regressing player could win MVP, click the video on the screen right here. Leave a like, subscribe, and don't listen to casuals.